Shit crank.
Okay, so if you would have told me a year ago that I'd be hosting my very own podcast, I would have told you was tripping. But here we are. And while the Melanin 360 podcast is one of the dopest podcasts out there, if I do say so myself, I could not have done any of this without Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout not only hosts my podcast, has affordable monthly plans, and gave me all the info I needed to start my show, but they got me listed on all major podcast platforms with the click of one button. So, if you've been thinking about hosting your own podcast but don't know where to start, look no further than Buzzsprout. And if you sign up for a paid plan using my special link, you'll get a $20 gift card from Amazon and you'll be supporting my show. That's a win-win, right? So stop thinking about it and join Melanin 360 and thousands of other podcasters on Buzzsprout today. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Melanin 360 podcast. I'm Jeray, your hostess with the mostest, and we are back for this week's episode. And, I hope y'all are doing well and taking care of yourselves and being safe out there and wearing your masks and social distancing and staying 6 feet apart from each other, okay? Washing your hands, all that good stuff. And I also hope that you all are registered to vote, that you have signed up for your absentee ballots, or you have made your plans to early vote. You decided who you're voting for. That should not be a hard decision. I'm just saying. But make sure you figured out how you get into the polls, your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, all that good stuff, y'all. It's important. So I just want y'all to get out there. It's important. Don't let me down. That's all we've been talking about on this podcast the entire time. Vote, 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 and make sure everybody you know votes. Okay. So with that being said, I have my guest here. My good friend, Mr. BJ Paige. Hello, Mr. Paige. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Can I say that the energy is perfect right now?
Oh, thank you very much.
I feel good and I'm excited to be here.
Good. Well, I'm glad to have you.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into some good stuff today. And talking about voting in the community and stuff like that is very appropriate that you're here on the show. Yeah,
and I'm normally not nervous. I feel a little nervous.
Well, I hope I'm not making you nervous.
No, you might be. You might be making me nervous. No, I think the nervous is because of the conversation is that important.
Okay. Yes, it's extremely important. Yeah. I always say, people say, y'all always say this is the most important election of our time, because it is. Every time there's an election.
Right now, it is the most important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, for real, y'all. It's like vote or die.
It really
like,
is.
no bull. That's really what it is.
And it will be like that every time. And I'm sure we're going to get into that.
Exactly. Yeah. And as Black and brown people, our lives are literally on the line. Like, that's not even a figure of speech anymore. Yeah, we are literally, our lives are on the line.
Literally.
Yes. But before we get in too deep, in true Melanin 360 fashion, we are all about all things Black culture here. Yeah. And, Black culture was always thriving and popping in the 90s. That was our era. That was our era right there. I don't care what nobody say. The 90s was everything.
It was
lit.
It was.
So, as we do with every guest on the show,
I know where you going.
I want to ask you, what is your favorite 90s hip hop and R&B song that you feeling right now? Like, what's speaking to you today and why?
90s R&B,
hip hop, rap, whatever.
Can I give two?
You most certainly can.
I think the one most of the listeners probably would know. The second one, they're gonna know the artist, maybe not so much the song.
Okay.
My first one is the Fugees.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope y'all know who the Fugees are.
Y'all better know who the Fugees are.
Just checking. And that's Ready or Not.
Yes.
Ready or Not. Here I come. Yeah.
You can't hide. Yes.
So listeners, when y'all get a chance, make sure y'all at least listen to that song and listen to the words. It's going to bring back all of these feelings from today's conversation.
And listen, trivia question. Name all three members of the Fugees.
You got, of course, the Queen.
Mm-hmm. The late Queen. Let me stop. I'm just playing. the not on time queen. But we love Lauren. We love you, Lauren. Go ahead.
Gonna do my girl like that.
I'm just saying,
Lauren
though.
Hill, Wyclef Jean, and why is the third one always so hard?
I knew you ain't know it. That's why
Why
I
is it
asked
always
you.
so hard though?
Pras.
Pras.
Nobody ever remembers
No,
Pras.
but look. So you know why I should remember that?
Why?
It's because I love the album. You know how
Yes.
many times he say it, and he almost, you know why he gotta say it because people don't know who he is.
That's true.
So he say it like every
That's
time
true. He
that
was always
rap.
like the dude.
But he say Pras every time he rap. Oh, that's funny. That is hilarious.
But yes, no, Ready or Not Yet. That was
That's
my
dope.
joint.
Yeah,
Yes.
it still is.
Yes.
Like listen to. I'm gonna challenge you to listen to it. Then call me or text me.
I
You listen
will.
to it. Just
I will.
Just zone out. Take a quick meditational moment and just listen to that song.
Okay.
Yeah, do that. The second one, man. So I'm like the reincarnated Tupac.
Okay. That's what's
So
up.
Tupac in the '90s was like my thing. I don't know if we haven't said that, but we went to school together.
Yes.
So in high school, I wore the bandana. I thought I was Tupac.
yes, you did.
I
You did.
I thought I was Tupac.
Okay. Okay.
So back then and now, and I catch myself listening to it. It's Hellraiser. So you know, it's a lot going on in that song that represented me at 16.
Okay.
Right. So listening to it now, it almost gives me the energy to overcome some of the daily battles that I deal with dealing with the youth and young adults, you know, in the community.
Okay. What album was it on?
Hellraiser was on.
Because I want to find it.
Tupac had his hands like this, head down. Oh, they can't see that.
It don't matter. I can find it.
I sent it to you.
I'm going to look
I
it
ain't got
up.
my phone.
Because I remember I had like all the Tupac
Oh, everybody
CDs.
did. Everybody did.
CDs, right?
All of them.
I had them. So I remember like seeing the song, but I can't
Most
catch
people
the
don't know
tune.
the song.
Okay.
You know, but it was one of me and my close friends back then. We listened to it before practice.
Okay.
Listened to it on the way home. It
Okay.
was like that. Weird inspiration, but it was a story
That's what's
behind
up.
it.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Still I Rise.
Okay. All
Still
right.
I Rise.
All
I
right.
think it's on it. I'll make sure I send it to you.
All right. I'm going
Yeah.
to look it up.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge for y'all this week is to go listen to that song.
The two
and go
songs.
find the two songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my song this week, I was thinking along those same lines, you know, with everything that is going on in the world. You know, for me as a Black woman, seeing Kamala Harris on the stage the other night doing
Super
the
dope.
VP
Yeah.
debate, like it did something to me.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. Like when she got nominated, I cried, but seeing her on that debate stage and holding her own and being herself, like as a Black woman, it just made me so proud. And given the topic that we're talking about today, I had to go with UNITY
Okay.
by Queen Latifah.
UNITY.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
With the little
Ooh.
saxophone joint,
Ooh.
yes.
Ooh, I like it.
And I mean, and I was like 12 when that came out. That was like early 90s, right? And I liked the song just because it was Queen Latifah. But being older now, I understand really what she was saying in that song. You know what I'm saying? So as a Black woman, that song
I get it.
means
I get
a
it.
lot to me.
So in real time transparency, and I'm probably gonna say that a lot in this podcast today. It's just one of my favorite things to say when I'm having a conversation with somebody that other people are gonna hear.
Okay.
So this real time transparency, anytime on social media that I put community,
Mm-hmm.
the UNITY is capitalized. So I put
Okay.
the unity in the
Okay.
community. You know, people say unity and community. So I
Mhm.
literally just capitalize the unity so people can realize that when we come together as a community, the important part is the unity.
It is.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
That was tight.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. That is my song.
Yeah.
You know, it's so
now I
many
gotta
songs.
check that out and really
You got to. So
marinate
y'all
on
got
it.
3 songs
Yeah.
to listen to.
Yeah.
3. And you know, it's like so many other songs from the 90s. Like I liked it back then, but now being, you know, almost 40,
Girl,
it
you
means,
old, girl.
I mean, whatever. I'm still 39 today. Okay. To this day, I'm 39. Y'all tried it. I'm in my 30s. But it means something different now. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like so many artists back then was really on their shit. Like they really was deep with it.
Yeah.
We ain't know.
Yeah.
We was just bobbing to the music. Like,
So I
you
think
know.
that's why I feel like I was a huge Tupac fan.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
ahead of
way
his
ahead
time.
of his time.
If
Way
you really
ahead.
listen to, you know, what he said in his lyrics, how he represented himself in interviews, how strategic he was
Mhm.
when he got the opportunity to speak to the public.
Absolutely.
So that some of that stuff can't be taught.
And it's timeless.
Oh my
because
God,
it still reigns true
today. I still listen to it today. Yeah.
So for all you youngins out there, go to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to, and go hit up them 90s playlists.
That's right.
Okay, get it together.
That's right. We should have a 90s party.
We should.
No.
We should.
Melanin 360.
Yes, we should.
Should have one.
We gotta do a social distance
next
one.
Year. We're gonna do it 2021.
Yeah, when the pandemic is over.
I got a free ticket because I thought of it. Hello.
Yes, there you go. Boom. We in there.
All right.
So now that we know your choice in music, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, I know you, but the people, I want them to know you. So
okay. Soapbox moment. Soapbox moment. So I'm like I speak life in the people. I say that often, and I said it before. It was a fad. So the reason I say that is because I really don't like titles. I'm not big on titles, and as we talk about the journey that I really got to where I am today, I think people may hear why I don't like titles. But like a life coach, motivational speaker, mentor, father, husband, son of God. What I'd like to say, I'm a workforce development guru.
Okay.
For those who don't understand, when I say workforce development, I'm not talking about the human resources workforce development. I'm more so talking about to help people find their career path.
Nice.
Workforce development, because there's two different paths on that. With a few accolades within our area of the Prince George's County, D.C. area, as far as helping the community.
Okay.
I don't like the word activist, but people throw that at me sometimes.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. Activists
make me think of people who...
It is overused.
Yeah, it is. That's the perfect way to say it.
You know what? The two words that I find that are overused are activist and progressive.
Oh, my.
Progressive, it get caught in my throat.
They gonna think I told you to say that. Like, see, now when I shared this podcast, for those that's listening with the hater ears, I did not tell her to say that. They gonna think I told you to say that. I'm telling you.
And you all will find out as we go on with the interview why I feel that way.
All right, good,
but that word, it just, I'd be like, oh my God, y'all killing me.
Oh man, that's funny. Was that a good?
Did I miss anything? Yeah, no. Well, you did miss one thing.
What's that?
I would say philanthropist.
Okay, I would definitely say that. And veteran.
Yes. Salute.
Yeah, and a
Thank
veteran.
you for your service.
Thank you
very
welcome.
much.
And I can dip into that in a little bit too.
We appreciate that.
I think that's everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I brought up, your philanthropy is because I know that you have an organization called Boys to Bow Ties, which has done some great things in the community. And for those of you that are listening, when I mention the community, we are in what I like to call the great state of Prince George's County.
Yes, I love it. I'm still in that.
We are lifelong Prince George's County natives right outside the District of Columbia.
That's
so when we say the community, we're talking about our county in the D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area.
Gorgeous Prince George, as they say now.
That's what we do.
I still say PG County.
Or like I like to say, Pretty Girl County.
Oh, yeah. So look.
But it is what it is.
I gave that to a rap dude who uses it today. I said, Prince George's County, PG County can be two things. It could be Pistol Grip County or Pretty Girl County. Take a pick.
Both. Both of them, like they say. Both of them.
But yeah, so Boys to Bow Ties, man, it hunted me down. So part of the journey from when you and I met, and a lot of people don't even really remember it, and you may not, is I got expelled from PG County Public Schools.
Okay.
Your senior year.
I knew you had rolled out, but I ain't know what had happened.
Yeah,
okay.
So in that story, in short, it was a huge fight in the neighborhood on a Friday night, and because of my popularity and the same things that I'm happy to be, the front line of my life today, I was the only name they knew.
Okay.
So when we got back to school, it was BJ's fight, not all 12 of the people that was fighting. And they expelled me. So I ended up going to D.C. public schools and got expelled my first day.
Wow.
So that's from Frederick Douglass High School to H.D. Woodson. And I got expelled for fighting in H.D. because I was the Maryland Bama.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The Maryland Bama.
That was the Maryland Bama. The Maryland Bama. So then I ended up having homeschool in between while they tried to find schools for me, and I lost my scholarships for football. Didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't really have a father figure. My mom did excellent, but she didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Had homeschooling, found my way through that. Montgomery County Public Schools accepted me.
Okay.
So I ended up doing my senior year out there, graduated on time, and didn't know because I didn't have a mentor or father figure that I could have still hashed out my scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
I could have went.
You thought it was just done?
Yeah, I thought it was done. I thought it was the end of the world. Nobody in my family has had a scholarship,
right?
Or even really went to college at that time. So I didn't know what to do, and so I went to the military.
Okay.
So that's when I went to the United States Air Force, and I found myself getting in trouble in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Some of the same reason I got in trouble in high school.
Okay.
Which are some of the same characteristics that I'm proud of today. Taking up for people, speaking up, being that guy to say that's not right. So all those things the military don't like. Ended up getting a little trouble in the military. So I'm like, dang, why am I getting all this before 23?
Okay.
Like, why am I getting all this trouble? And it's always me every time. I said, I wish I had a mentor. My dad wasn't there. Granted he is now. I love my pops. If he hear this, he know the story.
Right.
I said, man, I needed a mentor.
You got to channel it.
It always stuck there, though, Jay. So it was always there like, dang, I wish I had a mentor. I don't even really know what a mentor is, but I wish I had one. Mm-hmm. So I had a son in between.
Okay.
So at the time, his mom and I were going through a tough divorce. And she just retired. But at the time, she was active duty military. So I was military, she was military. And where will my son go? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, man. Went to the court system here in PG County. And however they dealt that out that she be the primary custody. And I'm joint physical. So I'm like, all right, so Dad, so what that mean? My son not gonna be here? So my son gonna be gone? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, nah, I'm gonna have to chase him around the country. So we chasing my son around the country, but I also have a daughter and my wife now. Mm-hmm. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, but my wife now. I'm like, I can't keep chasing them around the country base to base. I wish it was a mentor program, and then it just clicked. Boom. I was saying I wish it was a mentor program to help my son, since his mom and I don't have the best relationship, that he and I can still keep some contact, and it'll help him build as a man. I'm like, it's probably thousands of kids right here in PG and DC going through the same thing. Yeah. And that's where Boys to Both Sides really started. So I always tell my son, I said, you the reason this is here.
Okay. Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah. That's what's up. I never knew that backstory. Yeah, I never knew that. Yeah. And so, I know you said that you were trying to be that for your son, but at the same time, did you see the need around you with other young boys?
Even worse. Mm-hmm. Did I see the need? I felt obligated to be that person because the need it's not there. And no disrespect to any programs here in PG. I think DC has more programs because there's more funding. Mm-hmm. So even if a dude or a young lady is born and bred PG like you and I, mm-hmm. they got a business decision to make to say, am I going to focus on PG or DC for funding if they have a nonprofit? Right. Like mm-hmm. Boys of Both Sides is a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And most of them go to DC. Yeah. Yeah. The funding is there. Yeah, the funding's there, but I also think it's the whole DC is considered the inner city, right? Yeah. And, we're considered, the county and the people out here got money. And, let's be real. PG County is 2 counties in one. Mm-hmm. Technically 3, because there's a very rural section of Prince George's County that y'all probably don't know about. Good point.
It's a llama farm about 15 minutes from here, for real.
You just gave some game that a lot of people don't speak on.
But that's facts. It's like working farms and stuff out here. Mm-hmm. Then there's your real suburban area with your mini mansions and all that good stuff.
And real mansions.
Yeah, and real ones. Mm-hmm. And then you have what they call inside the Beltway. which is I know that's where you live, but that's where I grew up. Yeah. Yeah. That's where I came up. That's where my roots are. Yeah. That are right around the DC line, but that are just as affected as what they would call inner city, or when they talk about Southeast or, what is it, Ward 8,
They
you know,
call us
in
the emphasis
DC.
more Ward 9. That's what they call us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you that don't know, there's literally places in Prince George's County where you can stand with 1 foot in DC and 1 foot in Prince George's County. Like, it's right there.
So you and I, do you like running?
Running what?
Running. Do you like running?
No, I don't.
I really don't anymore. I used to love running. Mm-hmm. But look, so me and you can put on our shoes and sprint from my house to the DC line. Mm-hmm. And we hate running.
It's right there.
No, it's literally.
Yeah, I don't like to run, but I could probably make that houses. Run.
5 Capitol Heights houses.
Mm-hmm. So it's right there.
I'm right at the DC line.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times that section of our county gets overlooked because of that reason. Yeah. You know, they kind of write it off.
Can you make sure you bring this up at some point? Because I don't want to get off of Boys of Both Sides until you're ready. And some of the districts in PG County touch the Capitol Heights, District Heights, Sea Pleasant, Suitlands. Those are all inside the beltways like we talked about. Those same districts touch some of the biggest, richest, wealthiest houses in PG.
Sure do.
The same district.
Sure do.
So just...
Sure do. We'll get there.
Oh, my God.
We'll talk about it.
I figured you would.
We'll talk about it. So Boys of Bow Ties, what do you all actually do? Like, I know you said it's a mentoring program, but like, what does that look like? What kind of services do you all provide?
Good point. Can I talk about what we used to be and then transition?
Absolutely.
Fairly quick. We started out as just being the Big Brother program. So we used to cater ourselves as the Big Brothers on steroids because none of us, me included, and the board of directors and the program directors, nobody really knew nonprofits. Mm-hmm. That wasn't our space. Most of the staff was dudes that had regular jobs in the neighborhood.
Yeah. So
we didn't know what a nonprofit was. So we was really just helping them be young men. Mm-hmm. Like, do you know how to wash clothes? You know how to cook? You know how to change a tire? Mm-hmm. You know how to, speak instead of, fighting?
Yeah, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Yeah, so all of that.
It was just a Big Brother program.
Oh, okay.
The charter kind of transitioned to where we are now, and we're in a weird space as we transition, and I'll explain in a minute. Now there's a lot of our young men aren't 8 and 9 no more. Mm-hmm. They're like 18 to 21.
Yeah.
They've been around us for a long time, so we found a space of workforce development, transition them to how to gain a career if you don't go to college. So that's how we got into the trade space, helping you find jobs that you can do without going to college, and no disrespect to those who go to college. Mm-hmm. But the pure number fact in our area is, I think it's like 68% not going to college.
Right.
So we got to be realistic with ourselves too. Mm-hmm. So all that heavy number that's not going to college, how can we help them take care of their families in the next generation? So we started getting them in the trades.
Okay. Now that actually leads me to a question I was going to ask later, but as the conversation flows, in your day job, you are the DC Metro Director for the Building Trades Council.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, which is a union or a bunch of unions basically in the DC metro area.
Girl, she know all this.
Well, like I was saying earlier, like I always say on the show, in my past life, I worked for a union for 12 years here in the DC metro area. So I'm familiar with it. How do you see unions and trade jobs fitting into some of the issues that we have with our Black and brown males here, or some of the barriers that they face? Like, how do you see unions and trade careers fitting into that? Like, are they still important?
Yes.
Should we be pushing them?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
So that is my day job, and I love it. But I want to speak without my title because I want to be clear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Trades are the elixir to getting our youth and young adults, male and female, to middle class. Mm-hmm. There's no better way in any state in the United States to get somebody to the middle class. And middle class is not the end.
Right.
But it's a great start.
Yes.
So that's the first thing you can get to is middle class. You're doing great. Back in the 80s and 90s, our parents and grandparents pushed us to go to college. Mm-hmm. Go to college. Because they wanted us to have a better education than they had. Mm-hmm. What they forgot to say is, but if you don't go to college, stay with these unions like your grandfathers and your uncles.
Right. They actually, a lot of times, they didn't even talk about it.
They didn't.
At all.
They didn't. But if we looked around back then, there was only a few dudes making monies.
Mm-hmm.
Dudes with trades, dudes selling drugs, or dudes that's college educated.
Right.
So we got a whole generation that don't even know what trades are.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got forced to go to college.
Right.
And again, this is not a college bashing moment. It's just, some facts. Is a lot of those people who went to college aren't even capitalizing off their college education.
True.
Whether that be they didn't like it, it's not their space, the jobs fell through, whatever the reason is.
Mm-hmm.
It was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had a trade to fall back to, they can still monetize their bank accounts and take care of their family. So we got lost, man. So I'm trying to do some type of campaign. I would love for it to be a national campaign to show Black and brown, that's the blacks and Latinos, to show them that it's okay. Trades are sexy.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money.
We have to change the mindset and the stigma around trade jobs, because I think that I don't know what happened, but at some point it became looked down upon.
Yeah.
But it's like, you need somebody, you need that mechanic, you need all of the other services, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. No. And mechanics make great money.
Look, let me be clear. So
for real,
every trade, and we talk about trades, it's easy to say, if you think about a house, everything to do with a house has a trade, whether it be the electrician, the plumbers, the steam fitters, the sprinkler fitters, the carpenters. These are all trades.
Bricklayers, all of that.
Yes. It's not one trade out of the 18 that I love to talk about that you can't come out making $26. I'm talking about in months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It ain't a lot of places in America that you can do that.
It's not.
I mean,
at all.
And you got something that you can take with you for the rest of your life.
And you also don't come out of trade school with the debt that you have going to college. Like you said, no shade to college. I have a degree as well, but
be clear.
There's debt with that.
Here's my hat back on for the job. So the Building Trade Council, we paid $24 million here locally for apprenticeship training.
Mm-hmm.
That's not taxpayer money. That's not money from grants. That's our money from our fund, from our employees.
Yeah,
we paid a nickel to a dollar for this apprenticeship money. It don't come out of nobody else's money. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, there's no other big box organizational company that's paying more to apprenticeship outside of us, other than the military.
Wow.
That's national. That's a national statistic.
Okay.
So let me just take my job hat back off.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm following.
Yeah. So that excites me, man, because just suppose I had it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a trade.
Right.
The reason why workforce development was my baby, because I probably done every job you can name to learn, to figure out that I should have done something 10 years ago.
Right.
That I wouldn't be striving to do so much to take care of my family, and it shouldn't be this hard. And there's men that's going through that right now, women that's going through that right now, and it's like, I wish I would have got a trade. Well, let's get one. It ain't too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do you all do that?
So that's how I got this job. The last 7 years, I kind of been a feeder for the unions. By feeder, it was Boys to Bow Ties. It was Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. It was Employ Prince George's, the Keys Program, Run Hope Work, which is another nonprofit. These are all organizations where I led the youth program to show the youth and young adults here locally how to get into trades.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, we getting this dude to get all these people in. How well is he connected?
Mm-hmm. Clearly well connected.
and that's how I got the job. So on top of being a feeder, I'm sure we're going to talk about the political piece. I ran for office.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, man, this might be our guy.
Okay.
They was like, I wonder if he know DC. They didn't know that I ran the Howard Up Around program for years. I was with DOES contracted year after year. Mm-hmm. So it was just a perfect fit.
Look at you with the deep resume. Look at you.
Yeah. That's that soapbox moment. I don't like it, but sometimes I got to give it so people can understand, my viewpoint.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. I think that there is a space between pontificating and
girl, you smart.
And that's my SAT word. Pontificating, but also stating facts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your resume is your resume.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
And so I'm a firm believer in when you step into the room, I come with my credentials, like you said. So when I start talking, that I know what I know, and it ain't gonna be no discussion about it. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Sometimes I'm glad you actually made me feel good hearing that, because sometimes I gotta say it because, like, you seen the movie 8 Mile?
Yes, I have.
So I 8 Mile myself a lot. I come in and I tell the bad purposely a lot, and I gave you the short version. You were not you. I gave the audience the short version, just for the sake of time. But I give the bad a lot. So when I give you all of these accolades and soapbox moments and credentials and winning opportunities that I done for organizations, so you'll know that next time you see a young lady or young man that you think is struggling. If you help that young lady or that young man quicker than I had the help that I had, they can have bigger accolades than I have today.
Absolutely.
So that's the goal.
And, a lot of times people that look like us are underestimated off break, So as a Black woman who, if I do say so myself, I do look a little bit younger than what I actually am. Boom, there you go. We just high-fived in case, y'all can't see that. But I do, I come in, I'm only 5'2", I'm a little short, so I walk into a room and people will discount me, or think I'm there to just, pass out papers, the admin. I'm not knocking anybody that's the admin. I'm just saying that's not what I was or what space. I am. Yeah. And sometimes you got to come in and let people know what's good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm all for that.
And I'm the loudmouth dude, and I'm normally the trouble starter or the person to get the room going. So normally I'm super quiet in the room purposely so I can give them that.
Yeah.
Like, like, oh yeah, you think, okay, I'm quiet, and let me give you all this. So yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be quiet. Sometimes you gotta pull a biggie, kick in the door, wave in the 4-4. Sometimes you gotta do that.
I get it.
I
get it.
So in talking about that, we talked about being lifelong members of our community, right? And so what do you think is, to you, the importance of giving back to the communities in which we live? Like, people talk about giving back and, people give back with money, and that's fine because, programs need money and stuff like that. But for us in our generation, we are getting to the point where we are a little bit more financially stable. We're putting down roots. What is the importance of us giving back to the communities in which we grew up and going back to where we came from?
To me, it's past important. I wish it was like taxes. I wish it, like, if you didn't do it, you get trouble, or you get fined. Because for real, I really wish that, because it is really tough for us. And here's the hard truth. So if this stings, it's just gonna have to sting, right? So Prince George's County, PG and Proud, the people who make it normally don't come back. They don't give back, right? And the people who are here, unfortunately, most of them in the good areas aren't from here. So they try to give back, but the people that's from here either look at them bad, talk bad about them, or the youth say, where you from? And they say, Arizona. And they be like, I ain't talking to Slim, he from Arizona. So it's already hard.
Yeah.
Right? So if each one of us took our own neighborhood, whether you just moved there or you've been there, and just picked 5 or 6 youngins to talk to. I ain't even saying do nothing for. I ain't even saying give. I ain't even saying provide. I ain't saying money. I'm just saying for them to know that you are a stand-up citizen in your neighborhood. We can change the viewpoint of the youngins so they'll take care and take pride of where they are in a matter of a year.
Right. Okay. I like that idea.
That's easy.
Yeah. And, I also like the idea, like you said, some people have their reasons of why they move to wherever they move, but even if you do decide to put roots, in another part of the area or another part of the county or whatever, you can still go back.
You should.
You know, you should. Because for most of us, I don't know about you, but most of us, your grandmothers still live wherever, you know what I'm saying? Or I know for me, my grandmother and the church that I grew up in is in Temple Hills, so my family, regardless of where we moved to every weekend, that's
the hub.
That's where we were. That's where we'd spend our money. That's where we spend our time. That's where we would do community stuff and give back over there because that's what raised us.
That's home base.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got people, right, like myself, and this ain't no shade to nobody, period. Some people look at me when I say, I'm in Capitol Heights. They like, what part of Capitol Heights? I'm like,
that is such,
that alone.
That is such a Prince George's County thing.
That alone is funny, right? But they're like, what part of Capitol Heights? I'm like, well, I'm off Larchmont. They be like, what you doing over there? I'm like, man, well, I grew up in Fordsville. I mean, that's down the street. Yeah, but you should be. I should be. So are we looking down at parts of the county?
Yeah, a lot
I
of
can't
people
live where I can't live in. I can go to Woodmore if I like. I can go to Fairwood?
Yeah,
Fairwood.
Fairwood.
I can go to Fairwood if I like. But I want to be where I can really touch some lives and change people. And sometimes it's rough. I'm sure the dynamics are different. Where I am compared to Fairwood.
We fighting deer out here, but it's all good.
It's still. I wasn't gonna talk about you, but since you brought it up, it's nice out here, y'all. I ain't lying. But I still see a lot of, rough cut things in where I am.
Yeah.
But that area needs help. And if nobody there to help them.
Right. If everybody leaves, that's how I feel about public schools. If everybody pulls their kids out of public schools, then what?
Girl, I've been fighting this. You about to start another conversation. Girl, public schools. I'm listen, that's next conversation.
Yes. But don't worry, you already on my list to come back to the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we were looking for a house, I was adamant about not leaving Prince George's County.
Yeah. You said that to me.
And people were like, "Oh, you need to come out. You need to come out Waldorf. You need to go out Anne Arundel." And I'm not shading nobody that did that. Like I said, it's your money. Do what you got to do.
And there's some nice houses out there.
And it is, but I take pride in the fact that I am from the richest majority African American county in the nation. Yeah. Like I take pride in that. I don't know if anybody else does, but I do. I enjoy saying
our taxes high.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, you know why they high?
They hide in the mud.
So they can start running us up on out of here.
I ain't leaving now.
So if you think about D.C. and how gentrification really happened, we all know how it works, what it looks like. We're not ignorant to that. But what we are ignorant to sometimes is we think about our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles who own some of these homes because they've been paid for. But the taxes start getting so high that all people looked at was like, my house been paid for. My grandma's house been paid for 10 years. I ain't paying them high taxes. And that ran you out. And when it ran you out, they started building right up under you.
Yep.
And they doing the same thing to us in Prince George's County.
They are. But that also speaks to, a conversation that we had last week on the show. We were talking about home ownership, particularly in the D.C. metro area amongst Black homeowners, is that gets rid of generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, if your great-grandma's house has been paid for, you selling it, like that's property. Yeah. Like you can pass that on to your kids.
But
you can also
looking at the high they looking at the high tax.
They look at the high taxes, but
it ain't high if you think about it.
It's you're not paying a mortgage. Yeah, you're not paying a mortgage on it. It creates generational wealth for your family. You can also help solve part of the housing crisis because you can provide affordable housing now because you're not paying a mortgage on it. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't always think that far ahead. And so that is what,
what things like what you're doing now is important. These podcasts is important. It's education inside of it.
You and your program and the success that you've had is an inspiration to me as a newer business and a newer organization to just provide a space for that. You know what I mean? And to get people to think strategically about what they're doing.
So we touched over 1,200 youth, but we actively we're in the lives of about 200 youth, right? Actively throughout the whole time.
That's what's up.
And some people say, "Oh, that ain't a lot," but watch how these numbers multiply real fast, right? So 200. We're just gonna talk about the 200. At least half, probably more. I'm just giving short numbers. At least half had a brother or sister.
Right.
Right. So that's 400.
Mm-hmm.
They had a mother, at least, in
Mm-hmm.
the household. I'm gonna cut it short. So that's 3 people. The mother probably had a brother or sister.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 or 5 people. They had everybody probably had a grandmother, probably locally, because most of us was inside the Beltway.
Mm-hmm.
That's 6. So we're talking about 600, 700 people that we were affected through Boys to Bow Ties. And I don't think I realized how important it was until like last year when I kind of scaled back how many calls I got. People probably be, my wife, she'll be here the next time. We missed her today.
Shout out to Tamika,
Shout
y'all.
out to Meek, the Paige group. But if she was here, she would tell you the phone don't stop. The help is needed. There's always people asking. And it's people like you and I and these listeners who know that they want to do it. If you need that extra oomph, if you need that extra push, I'll be your accountability partner because we need programs to help.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And we're going to talk, about how to keep in contact with you and all that other stuff a little bit later. And you mentioned the Page group. Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So the Page group, my wife run the whole thing.
But no, so it's awesome.
But no, so the Page group started as we wanted to have some type of space where we had like a consultant type of situation for couples, right? This is how it started.
Okay.
And we wanted to do like dope couple events where we, couples went out and just enjoyed themselves. Normally non-traditionally, not just go sit down and have something to eat, but some type of entertainment, some interactive between everybody to get involved in. So we started the Page group. Then it turned to like almost a social club. So my wife started doing all of these events. Now we about to start doing workshops. We're thinking about doing some stuff with y'all here.
Great.
But just so people can know that it's not easy, but it's doable. We've been together 16 years. I promise you we might have argued 3 times.
Okay.
And I say that in a good space. And if you argue more than that, it's okay. But at least you can talk to somebody to say, man, how y'all do it or what can we do? It's all about friendship and being vulnerable. If you can't be vulnerable with your partner, then it's gonna be tough, and that's what the Page group is all about.
Check them egos at the door.
The ego is no amigo.
I
no
like
friends,
that.
No
I'm gonna have to steal that.
So
I like it. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna pin that Page group so when she come back,
okay,
we can talk more.
Okay, y'all doing big things. And speaking of big things,
Lord,
about 2 years ago, you ran for Prince George's County Council.
Yep.
So what made you want to do that?
The people. I know that sounds so cliche, but I really ran because it was a big amount of people that's like, we need you, B.
Yeah.
We need somebody like you to be in office. And I'm like, in office? Like political office? They like, yeah. So I was always in the space because of the nonprofit or working for county government or chasing that activist in me, chasing the betterment of the people. I was PTSA president of Central High School, so I got on a lot of the political people nerves to make the schools better. So I said, you know what? Let me look into it. So this was actually about 4 years ago when I started looking into it, and I said, I think I can do it. And the reason why I thought I really can make that change and make it work for county council is if you look at the job of what it takes, knowing the zone and the redevelopment, the financial structure of how things are changed within the county level versus the state level,
right?
Versus the municipalities, knowing just enough legislation that you can help your residents in your district. That's what I've been doing. My professional background, I was the executive assistant to the president of Howard University. I'm the current president. Shout out to HU. I'm prior military. Everything I've done has been with numbers as far as the hotel industry. So I've done everything that I needed to do other than the government zoning. So I was like, I gotta brush up on that.
Good skill to have, though.
Yeah. Oh my God. So as I brushed up on it, I realized it wasn't nothing but pure education. It's nothing special on its own, and you just got to really know what you're reading, almost like anything in life. So the people was like, B, we need you to run. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So what do? We run for office. Why do we do it? Because the people ask. But the real reason, and you and I talked about it upstairs for me, now that it's over and behind me, is I wanted to leave something for my family, man. If you think about, like, I got a huge family here locally. We're known for a lot of things. Politics ain't one. I wanted to be able to look back years later and say, BJ tried to do what's best for the people in his district, people inside the Beltway, the people, up in District, 7. And I felt like the timing was perfect.
Okay.
Was it? No.
So I was going to ask you, what was the experience like of, being a politician is one thing, but running for it is a beast, within itself. It's a beast.
So I had fun, man. I've definitely had a non-traditional campaign.
You was shaking hands and kissing babies.
I had a non-traditional campaign. I treated my campaign almost like my nonprofit. It was grassroots. It was with the people. I wasn't going after, like, you got a union background.
Yes.
I'm in the unions now. It wasn't chasing the big money in politics.
Right.
And you need some of that money in politics.
Yeah, you do. You got to play the game, unfortunately.
And you got to play it with integrity.
Yes.
So I let that pause for a second.
Yeah, and sometimes that's hard to do.
You got to play
because when you
integrity.
play with integrity, sometimes you don't win.
Yeah, and flat out, you just answered it. So as I started, looking at how other people were running campaigns, I'm like, some things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to lie to win. I'm not going to tell people I can do something when I can't. I'm not going to accept funds from people that I shouldn't be accepting funds from that's going to want something once I get elected.
Ooh, yes.
So it didn't work in my favor, but it taught me so many lessons. It opened up so many doors. I think that's a lot of the reasons why you and I are sitting here now to talk about some of these political things of the future and what unions look like for me, and how we can change it in different ways without that seat. So I wouldn't have changed it, man. It was a lot of hard work. It was different. I've ran people campaigns in the past though, on the community side.
Yes.
So I understand that was the easy piece.
Right.
But I did not realize how funny the money was.
Yeah, it's just from what I know, the little bit that I've been involved in that, it is a monster that if you've never done it, you don't know. Yeah.
And then once you have done it, you're almost stuck in the space. Like the people who understand the money of a financial structure to run a campaign, those are the people you call. Like right now, if I wanted to call some people to help, I know who I can call and help me get all that together. But is it worth it?
That's why there are campaign managers and strategists, because it is a strategy and someone is literally managing.
Let me say something.
What you're doing.
Since we here and talking strategies, so some people only run campaigns strategically to win. They ain't thinking about the next 4 years of office, or depending on the seat, 2 years.
Yeah,
they just want to win the next election. That's why you only see them every 3.5 years, because they know if they get you for these 6 months and knock on your door and get you to say yes, and get you to get his money and get you to early vote for him, they done their job.
I tell people all the time, back when I used to, in my past life, when I used to talk about this stuff.
I ain't see that.
You know how it is when you go to the polls and you vote, right? You get to, your president, your vice president, your governor, your senator, whatever. Then you get to the bottom for like your county councils and the judges and the whatever. How many of y'all out there really know who them people are?
So look.
You just go through. I've had people tell me, and this is going to sound messed up. I've had people say, I picked the names that sound black.
No, people say it all the time.
I've had people say, oh, I be seeing this sign on my way to work. I don't know who they are. I just seen it. Or that's the name that's been on the ballot for as long as I've been voting for the last 10, 15 years. So I'm going to just keep checking the box.
There's a few things that I'm going to say to that. So some people who run for office count on the algorithms just like social media. They know If some people change their last names just to put themselves at the top.
Wow.
In alphabetical order.
Really?
Yeah. Some people, like, I put BJ Paige on the ballot. People like, that ain't your government name, but that's what people know me as. So that's what somebody like me would do. I wouldn't put my government. Don't nobody know me as that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you said kind of hurt because I want to speak on it if I can. Is them local elections.
Mm-hmm.
Them local elections are more important than anything in the world.
Extremely.
That's what helps
important.
your food,
Mm-hmm.
your taxes, your medical,
your school,
your schools.
Yep.
I mean, we can go down a whole list of where it's more beneficial to your daily activity.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, we need a good president. FYI, make sure you go vote.
Yes.
The right way.
Mm-hmm.
November 3rd.
With a mask.
And say, bye, Don.
Exactly.
But the local elections, they're important to all of us because that's what you look at when you open your window every day.
Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, they're like those judges and stuff like that. They're the ones that are deciding on,
Mm-hmm.
so many things that they decide. So many.
Just today, when I said we talked about schools, and we ain't gonna stay on it, but just today, something got voted on, but people probably didn't even know, and this is one of the most important things for Prince George's County Public Schools in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. So stuff happen every day that's locally, but you got to have a trustworthy person in that seat to trust them that they're doing the right thing that's better for you and your kids' future.
Exactly. We got to get better on that.
Yeah, we have to.
We have to get better. And
I think the joke I made about Donald Trump was when he said, make America great again. Mm-hmm. I'm going to accept the challenge because I think that's what he was doing. He just didn't realize it. He making us realize how important it is to get the right people in office or the wrong things that happen. So he going to make us great by waking us up. Mm-hmm. So I hope somebody listening, I hope I at least got one person to say, all right, cool, let me get up because somebody made some sense just now.
Exactly.
If you want what's better for you, your kids, your spouse, your next generation, the least you can do is spend this quick 30 minutes and go vote.
Yes.
Correctly.
It's the least. It is the very least.
And the last thing on that, though, is you brought up something like with the judges situation. Mm-hmm. So what you can do is use this thing that you use every day called a cell phone. Hit this site called Google.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
Google.
You can Google every person. And if they ain't done nothing in the last 4 years, whether they've been in office previously or not, if you can't Google nothing good about that person, I don't know if you should vote for them.
Exactly. And not just because, they've been on there. So people have actually said, well, I ain't heard nothing bad about them. So
listen,
I'm going to just keep them in there.
I ain't going to say the dude's name. There's a dude that run for office every election cycle here locally. Mm-hmm. Just so he can raise the money into the account and do what he pleases with it. Mm-hmm. He's ran every election cycle, at least for the past 4 cycles, and that's 4 years, 16. Mm-hmm. That's 16 years.
And that's about how long we've been able to vote, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So think about that, listeners.
So now with all that we just said, that sounds really negative.
Yeah, they need to hear that, though.
But I am a firm believer that more people like you and I need to run. Mm-hmm. For office.
You running for office?
No, I am not running for office. I am not running for office. But I will support you though if you are. But I think that we need to run. I feel like we need to put people up to run that support us in our issues. I saw a post today online and it says something about like both of our candidates that are running for president are in their late 70s, but the average age of an American is 37 years old. Like there's a problem with that, right? And again, this is not to shade any candidates that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. But people like us do need to run more for those local seats or, national, but whatever. These county councils, the municipalities, the mayors and all that other stuff. Do you agree with that? And what would you say to somebody like us to maybe, if they're thinking about running?
No, I got it. Great question too. So I when I used to get in trouble for speaking up and causing trouble at meetings, it was about something similar. So it's the same type of answer.
Okay.
With the Black community, our favorite as a whole leaders were probably the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's of the generations, right? In the height of their success, they were 30.
Yes. I used to say this all the time.
So when people try to down talk the youth that's trying to come be the next generation of leaders, I say, why not just help pass that baton?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to be here longer than you by the
Mm-hmm.
numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're just going by numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So help them and mold them. Because I didn't have a political mentor. But
Right.
suppose I did.
Right. Where
Things
would you be,
oh
and then where would we be?
Where would the county be?
Yeah.
So I think that we should always be in baton mode. I think we should always be in our position. We got to hold our political leaders to the fire. Once they're in position, ask them to do stuff to change right now,
Mm-hmm.
and put it on paper. I don't want your spiel for the next election. You got a year and a half here. Let's do this year and a half. But to those same leaders that's been in there and they're more seasoned in age, I'm not asking you to leave if you're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know that somebody could be doing better, let them do better. They can hire you as a consultant. They can hire you on staff. You'll still be in the space of taking pictures and all that good stuff.
You know, you brought up a good point when you talked about, our civil rights leaders and stuff like that back in the day, like the John Lewises and Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's. Yeah, they were in there.
Who would have been political leaders, but go ahead.
They would have been, if the times were different. Yeah. But yeah, they were in their late teens and 20s when they first got started. Even if you go back and listen to the stories, I was listening to a podcast about Kamala Harris. And how she started after she graduated law school and stuff like that. She was young. She was in her 20s, maybe 30. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to get more of us into that space or thinking about, because so many of us think, oh, I can't do that. I'm too young. Or, I don't have a political background. You don't have to. Our current president is proof.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
That you do not have to have a background or education of any kind. I'm just saying, you got to have the passion for it, and you got to have the will to want to serve the people. That's it in my book. In
the perfect world, suppose I was in office today. Just like when I had my campaign, it was led by every person in leadership in my campaign was a woman. So I would have women and young men in all the roles if I was in office today.
Yeah. And look how many jobs you could have created.
How many lives you changed for the future.
Yep. They can learn, and then, that platform to go on and succeed you, and
why we don't,
so on and so forth.
Not the only county. Why we one of the only counties that don't understand that?
I don't
know.
Don't
do that.
I don't know. But that's
follow the money.
Yep.
It'll show you why.
But you know what, though? That might be something we have to do. I know that there's been some programs that Maryland has done for women, about women running for office and stuff like that. But it was a state program, so we might have to talk offline about some collaboration there,
put it together.
Talking to our young folks about that. I like it.
You said you're going to start a nonprofit to do that?
I mean, I might.
I thought I heard
I mean, I might.
That's what I heard.
Now, you don't put it out there now, you know what I'm saying? People going to be like, you had said on your show. So, just to kind of tie everything up in a little bow, as I like to always end the shows, if there were 3 things that you could tell a young Black male that might be listening to this show, teenager, right? In this day and age, living in a part of the community that ain't the best, and don't really see a way out, or things ain't really going his way. If you could tell him 3 things, what would they be?
Keep your blinders on. Don't stop. And don't be afraid to fail. Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm taking that a little bit with myself. Yeah. Keep your blinders on. Don't worry about what's going on to your left and your right. Don't stop. By don't stop, that's just keep going, even if you don't feel right, even if it look funny, even if the money ain't there, don't stop. It'll keep you busy. Mm-hmm. It'll keep you from being on that idle time. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to fail. Because failure normally is a learning opportunity.
Yes, it is. Teachable moments.
Yeah, teachable moments. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I failed way more than I've succeeded. But it's so easy to talk about the success because the failures are gone. Mm-hmm. Success stays.
I like that. I'm about to steal all these little quotes. My IG about to be lit tomorrow.
Girl, you stupid.
So speaking of that, where can the Melanin 360 listeners stalk you on social media?
Melanin 360, find me right there. No, but that's a start. If you can't think of nothing else, just ask Jay. She'll tell you. But no, everything is BJ Paige. Paige.
Okay.
BJ Paige. Everything you need to know is there.
Okay.
That's Facebook, Instagram, even Twitter, which I don't use, is still BJ Paige. LinkedIn, email, everything's BJ Paige.
Okay.
Well, email is BJ Paige info at Gmail.
BJ Paige info at Gmail.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will always make sure that we link that down in the description box, both in the podcast details and on YouTube and
I think I'll be
on
back
Instagram.
Though.
Yes, you will certainly be back.
I think I'm gonna be back. I'm thinking, look, we got some more to talk about.
I mean, I don't live inside the Beltway. I mean, you gonna come out here
you know what? I said I wouldn't.
I'm still in gorgeous Prince George's though.
PG and Pride.
Burley.
PG
but I'm here though.
That's funny.
I'm here though.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming, BJ. I appreciate your energy. It was dope. I loved it. This was great. Please bring your beautiful wife next time so we can talk about what's going on with the Paige group.
Last quote.
Just
popped in my head.
Okay.
This is my favorite quote. It's two of them. One is you heard before. One is mine. Your network is your net worth. The last 5 people in your text message, email, Snapchat, phone, voicemail, they show your value. If you don't like it, change it. Your network is your net worth. That's the one people normally heard before.
I didn't hear about the 5 people. I'm
all that
scared.
other stuff is mine.
Okay.
But I throw that for a reason because that's what changed my life. I started looking at the people. I was like, no, oh Lord, people on this phone. I gotta call y'all back. I gotta get out of here. And when I watched it change, I started changing.
That's I'm actually going to employ that.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
You see yourself change once you see your contacts start changing. Mm-hmm. And then the second one is motivation starts with those who motivate. Motivation starts with those who motivate. That is because people always say they need the motivation, but it starts with those who motivate. So if you're saying you need it, you already started the process of motivating. So motivate yourself enough to get up and do something. You don't need nobody else to jump you off. And it's good to call somebody to on that journey, but to get started, you've already started it. You're up. You're motivating already. Just go. Finish what you start.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Now, see, I done let this man come and close out my own show. Look at that.
My bad.
But it's all good, though. Thank you all for listening this week. As you always know, you can find us on Instagram at _melanin360. You can also follow me personally on Instagram at IamJorae. That's IamJorae. And you can download the Melanin 360 podcast wherever you find your favorite podcast. And we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.